I've had several people tell me I talk too low, so I'm going to try and talk louder. If I seem like I'm yelling, I apologize, but roll call, please.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Sharp,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by O'Laughlin. Who did I hear the second?
Hill.
Second by Hill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Did you get the thing or check the clipboard? Anybody signed in out back there? No. Okay. So we go past public agenda. Next, I need a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following: the minutes of the March 26, 2018 regular meeting, Stacy's Checkered Flag Class C liquor license premise change, April 16, 2018 through October 20th, 2018.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf,
Second.
second by Hayward. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next on the agenda is approval of the claims for payment.
I had just one question on that. We paid $17,566 for the airport fueling system. Is that up and all working now?
I won't tell you that it hasn't got some glitches in it. There seems to be a couple things that come and go on that, but yes, it is up and running. It is working. The credit card, something to do with the credit card reader has been a little bit, like I said, glitchy, but it's working other than that.
But if there's issues, they're going to come back and take care of it,
Oh, yes, absolutely, yes.
okay.
As part of a warranty?
Well, it's under warranty. The question is, and the glitches that we found to this point seem to be more in the telecommunication piece, the way that the credit card reader communicates back to the modem to get the credit card approval. Those are the complaints that I've had. But when we went out to try and recreate it, the issue, it doesn't happen again. So I'm not sure how to tell you that it's, I don't think it sounds like a warranty issue, but we'll keep working on that.
How long is the warranty period on it? You know,
I'd have to go back and look, John. I don't know offhand.
I'm just wondering if we should withhold some money.
Looks like we
Well, it's
paid
actually
all.
working satisfactorily.
Right, well, and again, the part that we purchased, I would have to say, would be deemed as working.
Any other questions? We did have a motion, right? No? Then I need a motion to approve the claims for payment.
So moved.
Motion by Kurtz,
I'll second.
second by Hayward. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next on the agenda is Spear Financial Client Opinion.
Thank you, Mayor. Larry Berger from Spear Financial. I passed out a letter of recommendation to you that you saw on the top of the packet that I passed out. We were here today at City Hall to take bids on $2,700,000 general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2018. And as you can see from the cover letter, we did receive 6 bids here at City Hall. And we will be recommending the low bid of Northland Securities for a true interest rate of 2.8462%. But before we do that, if you want to turn the page, to get to this point, we did have a Moody's rating, and they reaffirmed the city at an A2. I did include the report in here with Moody's, and I did highlight some of the areas that you want to pay a special attention to. I won't go through and read the whole report to you because I have been asked to keep it short also by one of your audience members here. So anyway, so I will keep it short. But I did highlight some areas, and what you see a repeat of in a Moody's report is they like cash. And so several times throughout the report, they will identify how much cash you have. And right now, you're very comfortable at a 27% of revenue on cash balances. But 25 to 30% is what they like to see, and so they are very comfortable with your 27% as they talk about in the report. You turn to page 3, the structuring of the debt of the report, I just want to point out that 79% of your debt will be paid for within 10 years. That's a very nice retirement schedule. And so you want to, if possible, keep them short because, again, Moody's likes that also. They talk about your pension and post-employment liabilities. So just read that section. They talk about IPERS. I don't know why they talk about IPERS because if you keep up with what IPERS tells you to pay, you have no control over that at all. But they keep talking about that, and I keep talking to them about why are you putting that section in there? Because every client that we have does contribute to IPERS according to what they're supposed to contribute. You turn past the report, all of the rest of the report is disclosures, probably telling you that they're not responsible for anything they say in their report, but they have to put the disclaimers in there. You turn back, we pass that report, we give you a copy of the bids and bidder sheet and how the bids came in today. Now, all of the bidders today, except for Hutchinson Shockey, the very low bid a premium. We offer the bonds at 0.8% discount. What that means is they want to pay their salespeople commission to resell the bonds during the 2-week period that they know this sale is going to happen. And so what we would like to do is we like to offer them at a discount because that locks them into 0.8% of a commission to pay their salespeople. If you don't do that, then they will hide it in the interest rate and you will probably pay a lot more. So typically when we start out with a bond issue, we work with the city and we discount the bonds to control that commission that they take out of the deal. Now they can take it all, 0.8, or they can take nothing out of the deal because it depends on how hard they work to resell the bonds. But if you'll notice, all of your bidders today, except for Hutchinson, is paying you a premium. What that means is they're not taking the discount out, but what they are doing is they are calling their clients, and the client says, okay, I'll take this year's bond, but I want a 2.5%. And they say, well, the market's at 2.1%. You can't have 2.5. And they say, but I want 2.5. And they say, okay, instead of your $100,000 coupon that you're taking, that'll cost you $120,000 or $110,000. So you pay money up front, and then they return that premium to the city because that all calculates into the low bid, the TIC. And so that's why you see with the Northland Securities, actually under the price, it says 100.795%. They are paying you approximately $25,000 more to buy these bonds, which calculated into the low bid of 2.84%. And that's how that's calculated. If indeed, so as you see, the coupons run from 2 to 3% in their bids. Bankers Bank came in second low at a 2.87. They run from a 2, but a 3.50 for their high coupon, but they were offering $45,000. Well, it still didn't calculate down to the low bid of 2.84%. You can read the others. As you can see, we did have under Northland, they had another underwriter with them, but under the Bankers Bank bid, we had Security State Bank of Independence. And actually, when we were here watching, Bankers Bank had the bid up until the last 8 seconds of the bidding because it's all electronic and it's instant. And so Northland submitted their bid with 8 seconds left in the bidding process and took the low bid. The council does have to take, now, part of these bonds may end up back at one of the banks locally. Now that Northland has it, and no, they may call the banks to place some of the bonds, but right now we don't know that and probably won't know that if some of the bonds ended up back here. So with that, I would then turn to the, you can read over the other bids that came in. I would turn to the very last sheet, and that is your new debt service schedule, retirement schedule on this bond issue. You will notice we again protected the city with a call provision. That means that after 2025, you can refinance the bonds, you can pay them off, you can pay part of them off. You can do whatever the city is capable of doing. We will keep track of that for you at Spear Financial, and so you don't have to keep track of it. And as we approach that call, we will start looking at it to see if there's any savings for a refinancing. But at a 2.8, that may not happen because the market may be up to 4% at that point. We don't know, and so you probably wouldn't want to refinance these bonds. With that, I would turn back to the cover sheet, and I would recommend that we sell $2,700,000 general obligation corporate purpose bonds to Northland Securities of Minneapolis, Minnesota, for a price of $2,721,476.95. That's the premium, and a true interest rate of 2.8462%. I would answer any questions that you have.
I have a question, maybe Al, did you go over what we talked about, like with the fire truck on paying ahead as far as,
The question was raised, at what point does the interest rate start? Do we issue these all at once, and let's take the money in all at one time, or does it come in as we need it over the course of the next 8 months?
No, the money will come in approximately 30 days from now. So at your next council meeting, you'll take the additional actions that are required to legally issue the debt. Tonight, what we're recommending is you accept the low bid, and now your bonding attorney has to then put together all the legal documents now that he knows the interest rates on the bonds. At your next council meeting, and then about 2 weeks after that, we will close the deal, and the city will receive $2,721,476.95, and the bondholders will get their bonds. So you get the money all at once. Other questions?
That answer?
yes, thank you.
Great day in the market.
Any other questions? Then we need a motion to accept. Is that what we're needing? I don't see it written.
It goes under resolutions, Connie.
Oh, it's farther down? Oh, in the
Next
next
item.
one? Next item? Okay, sorry. Motion to award general obligation corporate purpose series 2018 to Northland Securities, Inc.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Scharf, second by Kurtz. I need a roll call.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes,
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes,
Vaughn,
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next on the agenda then is setting date of public hearing on the amendment to ordinance section 65.02, stop signs required.
I would make the motion.
I'll second it.
we talked about the stop signs being removed from down by the old high school, but that's not on here, right?
Yeah, that was, we talked about it that day, but we hadn't actually figured out which stop signs we wanted to remove. The ones that we had talked about that day are in here. So, no, we can take a look at those, but we don't actually have
Yeah, the only ones we're changing is the new neighborhood, right?
that, and then the ones down on 7th Avenue Southwest and 5th Street, taking those out.
And then it's adding stop signs out in Olds Edition.
Yes, that's adding those in and taking the ones off of 7th Avenue.
Okay.
I think 7th Avenue and 5th Street is down by the
It's by the,
east of the swimming pool,
yes,
wasn't it?
that's the one that's by the pool, yep.
Oh, you're talking over in front of the high school,
Yeah,
which,
the old high
Deb?
school.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I can take a look at those, but those weren't ones that we had, until that day, we hadn't really discussed those, so those hadn't been put in here, no.
We can add those in through the course of the process, right?
Through the readings.
Okay, we have a motion and a
I
second.
don't
to s-
have a second.
yeah, so,
Yeah.
I second.
You, okay.
This is to set the public hearing for April 23rd, 2018, to amend City Ordinance Section 65.02, stop required. We do a roll call on this, please.
I just need all in favor.
That's all you need? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. New business. Next item is the Odyssey project. Is that how that's pronounced?
Yes.
Okay.
This is a joint venture with Buchanan County to do a project on Kentucky Avenue, similar to a seal coat. This is a heavier product. They use a larger aggregate, a little more oil, and it's got a longer life expectancy with traffic. Brian Kylaber at the county is doing several projects or demonstration projects, if you will, around the county. He'd like to partner on this one because this is both in the city and in the county. Our share would be roughly $29,000. He's working on getting another quote in there that we don't have yet, so the best number I can give you is 29. It'd be a little less than that, but that's what we're looking at. In working with Tim, this would really come out of his seal coat budget. It's money we have in our seal coat maintenance budget, so it's just a different project, it's a little bit bigger contract than what we've done in the seal coat. That's why it's in front of you.
It sounds good. I spoke with Engineer Kyer Labor about it, and it sounds like it'll be almost 3/4 of an inch with the amount of aggregate and the additional oil and stuff to make it composite.
Not only that, but this has a base stabilization factor with the clay that they put it into, so I think it'd be a positive one.
Yeah.
Have they done this somewhere else, or is this a first?
Yeah, it's been done somewhere else, and he heard of it and wanted to try it.
We saw a report out of Cherokee County where they have done it extensively, and they were real happy with it. This was part of an Iowa State, down in Ames, Iowa State, put on a demonstration and a report that we went and listened to. So, again, in Cherokee County, fairly rural area, but they were real pleased with it.
And this is going to save from having to apply dust control on that road also, correct?
That's correct. The idea is we don't have to go in there every year with tree sap or other options for dust control. And maintenance on it will be easier.
Now, we talked at the Public Works, there's some potential work along the road. Is that part of this project too? They're gonna, where the, I don't know if they call it a sinkhole, but that stuff keeps going away?
Yeah, that would fall back on, I think primarily Brian, but Brian and Tim to address before they do the Odyssey. It is not part of this project. What the Odyssey project is, they're coming in, doing the base stabilization and application. They're not going to do, we talked about cleaning the ditches and addressing the concern of a sinkhole. I mean, that all has to happen before they come in. But that's on us, Brian and Tim.
Brian's gonna clean the ditches, he's gonna take care of the sinkhole.
Okay.
I make the motion.
Motion by Hill, seconded by
I'll second it.
O'Laughlin. Roll call, please.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scarf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next on the agenda is the fire truck. Motion to adopt a resolution approving award to contact to Tone Incorporated, I'm sorry, I'm insulting somebody, in the amount of $456,692.94 for the acquisition of the fire apparatus and equipment for the Independence Fire Department. Do you have somebody here, or?
Yep,
more
I
information?
have Jeff is here from the company if you have any questions for him.
Okay,
Last week, we went out to the factory to look at some stuff, and we got some additions we'd like to add into that. At this present time, it's more safety issues than it is anything, and what it is it's some side scene lights that go on the cab of the truck so that we can see into ditches, see house numbers, that type of thing going down the road. And they're approximately 2,000 each, that's $4,000. Then there's a Q siren, which I didn't really know much about, but the people I took with me sure knew about them. And they're built to, it's a lot louder so that for cars in intersections and stuff that sometimes we have problems with. So, and that was 25. And then we wanted to put power windows in the truck. You know, I always thought, well, what do you need power windows for? But the drivers brought up that it's, if they're in the truck by themselves and with fogged up windows or this type of thing, it's so that they can roll down whatever window they need to, that type of thing, from the driver's seat. And then we have a generator relay. And what this is for is so when the truck is running on generator power, like when we're setting it at sea, it heats up all the plugs that are in the truck. Most of them are shoreline based that work at the station, but they don't work out on the sea. So that was $450. And then we wanted to put a rear notification tank level on the rear of the truck. Like I told the committee today that I use that a lot when the truck's sitting on the scene. I need to be able to see those lights. There's one on each side of the truck, but we need one on the rear too. So if the truck's facing the rear of me out on a rural call when we're not on hydrant water, that I can see how much water's in that truck. So when if they run out in the tank that's in the truck, I know there's still water in there. So if I've got people committed interior, I know I've got water there to protect them. And then the last thing was on the 3-inch discharge on the officer's side of the truck is now a lever type valve. Well, while we were out there at their factory, I tried to move one of those valves and I almost had to put my feet against it and yank on it, you know, because it's a slow closing valve, so they close and open very hard. You put any pressure against that, I don't know if we'll ever get the thing open or closed, so to go to a wheel type valve on it. So that brought the total of the truck up to 456,692.94 would be the total with all those additions put on them. And then on that sheet that I left there, there's some different options that you can pay in advance on the truck for some savings there. That's what those figures are all about there. And I do have all the present paperwork that's got those new numbers on it. Now, like they were telling us out there, that number there is not the absolute what it's going to be, because once you sign a deal with this on a truck, it goes through 4 different sets of people to look through the things before we have a final pre-build on the truck. So that price could go up a little or it could go down a little because it works both ways. You know, they'll look at something, because they don't build the cab, that's built by Spartan, but they build the back of the part of the truck, and it may be on both people's bids, so one of them comes off. So it works both ways. There could be a savings and some stuff and maybe a little pay on something else, but it'll be real close to that price. And like I said, I've got Jeff here he's the truck salesman from Twins, if you have any questions for him.
One thing, Doug, we talked today at the public safety meeting, you did have to go to the custom chassis
because of the
garage
length of them.
configuration?
Yeah, Jeff brought in a truck on a commercial cab here a couple weeks ago or a week and a half ago, and there's just no way we're going to get that in and out of the station. Plus, it's not only getting it in and out of the station, it's getting it in and out of farm drives and stuff. And of course, the farther out you stretch them, you know, the lower the belly of the truck gets, you know, trying to get across stuff, so.
So that put the price up a little bit more than what we had anticipated or wanted?
Well, of course, the custom cab is more than the commercial, yes. It is that way. But we wanted to try that, you know, to make sure what we were trying to do here was going to work, and it wasn't going to work. So we've got to go to a custom cab, even get it in and out of the station, get it in and out of any place, so.
And you said this takes how long for this to actually get built?
They're in the thing it's 350 days is what they've got, you know, whether it takes that long, I don't know where they're at. It depends on how many trucks you got.
So, right now, we're scheduled out 350 days. But like tomorrow, an order could come in for a couple more trucks and go to 360, or we get the chassis a little quicker.
Yeah, and we went out to, last week, we were out to Burrito where these are built at, and it's been 35 to 40 years since the last time I was out to their factory. I was very pleasantly surprised as to what it is now as to compared to what it was the last time I was there, so.
Have we bought from them before?
We bought from them before, we bought a tanker from them, not the tanker we got now or the tanker we had before that, it was the tanker we had before that, so we have bought equipment from
Okay.
them before, sure.
Does anybody have any other questions?
We had 400,000 set aside, so how are we gonna pay the difference of that?
We had 500,000 set aside.
Oh, it was 500? That's good.
Or have we ever taken advantage of these, I guess I'm gonna call them early payment options in the past?
When they bought the aerial, they did, they paid for the chassis when it came in. That's what they did when we bought the aerial, Mike.
I think we want to run the numbers to make sure we have an idea of what we're doing, but I'd recommend that we look at paying at least a portion of it up front, taking the savings, especially in light of the fact that we have our bond sale, we're going to pay interest on that regardless, so.
Looks like a way to save some money.
Yeah.
Thank you. I still need a motion to adopt a resolution approving award the contract to, how am I supposed to, Toyne, I apologize for messing
I'll
this
make
up.
the motion.
Thank you. Not make me repeat that whole thing.
I'll second
I'll
it.
save you.
Motion by Hayward, seconded by O'Laughlin. We need a roll call, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Shar,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is motion to work with Levi Architecture on plan modifications for the new police station.
We're seeking permission to enter into an agreement with Levi Architecture to do some plan modifications. They had completed the plans and specifications for the original police station that was bid back in 2015 that was rejected due to cost. So it would be there should be a fairly nominal amount of investment here to do that, but they've got the plans already. But again, we need your permission to do that. This is not locking in a site. This is on the plans and layouts for the building so they can take a look at where it might fit most effectively.
And this would include having them do an overlay of where it would sit on the park property if we were to do that.
Right, we would ask them to show us a couple of locations possibly, but, what does it look like? Right now, we have a lot of estimates as to what it might or might not do. This would really get it down to a more fact-based decision for you. Again, you haven't, and this motion would not select a site, you're simply allowing us to work with Levi Architecture to do the plans and move ahead with that piece of it.
I'd make a motion.
Motion by Kurtz,
Second?
seconded by Hill. Roll call, please.
Shar,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda, under new business, is motion to contract with Crawford Engineering for the design and construction plans for the First Street West Trail project.
We have federal funds earmarked for this trail project. The project is ready to go as far as the Intercog and the RTA go. We're simply missing an engineer.
I think too, we talked about this at the committee meeting that, we've always had the debate north or south side of First Street West, and I think part of this would be having the engineering firm come back with solid facts on what the advantages or disadvantages of either side would be, so we could make a final decision at that time.
You refresh me on how much federal money or how much, federal money is it a percentage or a dollar amount or?
It's a dollar amount, and we've got a couple out there. I get them crossed up, I apologize. I think this one was $180 180,000. Brian, do you remember? Yeah. It would be in the 150 to 180,000 range, but this one I think was 180.
Brian is here if you have any questions for him.
And to Councilman Hill's point, really you should make a decision or a determination on north or south based on facts. Take a look at the project, where is it the most practical, the most feasible, and that gives you the most defensible position, regardless of which way you go with that. But that would be my recommendation, and I think that's the prudent way.
I would make the motion to continue with Crawford on the project.
Okay, motion
I'll
by
second.
Kurt, second by Hayward. Roll call, please.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve an agreement with Crawford Engineering for the 2018 street rehabilitation project encompassing 8 to 11 blocks.
Make motion.
Motion
Second.
by Hill, second by O'Laughlin. Any other discussion?
We haven't decided yet whether we're going to do 8 or 11 yet, though, right?
This was, as we discussed in the committee, that determination will be made at the time that we receive bids. The extra 3 blocks would be the alternate bid, and if the bids are real favorable and we have enough money in there, that's great. If we don't have enough money in there to do that, then we can take those out.
Okay, roll call, please.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next under new business is the low to moderate income housing grants. You had a few options, so you'll need to make a motion to approve whatever for the down payment assistance and how many for the housing rehabilitation grants.
We have approximately 120,000, a little over $120,000 available in our low to moderate income set aside. You will see that ranked in order of most highly qualified to least qualified. The rehab applications, there are 9 of them, and we have 3 down payment assistance applications that are qualified. If you look a little lower down in the spreadsheet that they provided, there are also, I believe, 7 total applications that were either did not qualify or they did not respond to requests for income verification, et cetera. So they were kicked out. We finally had to give them a March 30th deadline to provide the information. When we didn't get it, I mean, at some point we had to move ahead. We were out 60 days plus on this as far as when we closed the application. So on the down payment assistance, in our plan, we had earmarked originally $75,000, enough to fund $25,000 maximum down payment for up to 3 projects. We have 3 applicants that do qualify. We also have $7,500 maximum rehabilitation grant, which would fund at the maximum amount roughly 6 projects. The rehabilitation ones are a little harder to earmark because not all of them need the full $7,500. So there could be some leeway in there. You might be able to get 7 or 8 projects in there depending on who qualifies. I mean, the work that they want to do comes in where they can afford it. They have to go through their process to identify the scope of their project, the cost of their project, and bring that back to us. But at this point, I would recommend that you start at the top of the list and fund as many as we can moving down, because it is based on their income eligibility and basically who needs the assistance the most.
And a question that came up, is this funded to them in advance of them doing their project, or is it upon completion of the project?
It is upon completion, it's a reimbursement.
Okay.
So they have to pay for it first?
Generally, yes. Now, on the rehab in particular, that one gets to be a little bit trickier. In most cases, we can work with the contractors, so once the work is completed, it's been approved, we can work it out so that the homeowner isn't put in a spot where they have to skip groceries this week so they can have their money next month.
Okay.
But it's just a matter of how do we work that timing out with them and with the contractors.
Does Intercog, do they approve that the work is completed properly, or who makes that final?
That would be back to our building inspector.
So would he submit a specific report back to us to indicate that the work was done in a satisfactory manner?
We get the contract, we have to approve the work that they are proposing to be done, the pricing, the homeowner has to go out and get the quotes and the proposed work. We want to make sure that it's eligible under our plan and approve that. But once we do that, then it's just like any other project that we would have where they're doing renovations. The building inspector has to make sure that they're up to snuff, verify them. Less so if it's a water heater, which, doesn't really qualify as, for
Right.
example, but, I mean, we want to make sure that the work is being done. And then it comes back to you to approve the actual payment of those funds.
Only three families qualify for this.
For the down payment assistance. We have 9 that qualified for the single-family homeowner rehab.
But we don't, 9 people, if they all wanted $7,500, if my math is right, that's like $67,500.
Yeah, we only have enough money to fund 6.2
Okay.
at full amount of the rehab.
So we could, if they all, no, if people didn't take the full 7,500, we might have enough to do all 9, but we'd stop when we run out of money on the list, starting with number 1 down through 9.
Correct.
Where does money come from?
Every time we do a tax increment financing project for market rate housing, we are required by law to set aside 39% of that TIF revenue in what's called an LMI, a low to moderate income set aside. And we have to sit on that money until we have an eligible project. This would be a qualified or an eligible project for the use of that money. And at this point, we have just over $120,000 sitting there. We can't touch it until we find a project. So what we've done in essence is decided to put the money back into the community where it would have the appropriate effect.
Now, if one of those 3 that's down payment of the $25,000, do they pay that up front, or they have to actually finalize their closing on the house before they get that? How is?
It's all part of, the down
closing,
payment
okay.
assistance is all part of the closing process, and we would have to come up with the money to provide to them. They have to be bank qualified with our down payment assistance and their incomes, et cetera, to qualify for this.
So if something happens to one of them where it doesn't go through for them to purchase the house or whatever, does this have to be a new home, or just something that's on the market? I mean, for
It
the
is-
$25,000?
There is no statement that it has to be a new home, but it
Okay.
does have to meet some basic energy efficiency guidelines. In other words, it has to be a decent home. Most often, this is done with new construction, but we do not have that restriction in our plan.
And if for some reason they didn't end up making the purchase, then we would still have that $25,000. Could that be utilized under the repair? But that'd be another vote from the council, whether to use that money to finish off those repair things or something? Okay.
Correct.
So for tonight, we need to put in to approve 3 for down payment and 6 plus for housing?
I would, at this
How-
point, I would ask for the 3 down payment assistance applications to be approved, and the first 6 on the list in the rehab to be approved, because that would assume that they are all asking for the maximum. And again, we'll know more as we go through. And this will be a fairly reoccurring theme. As the project moves ahead, you'll have more action and more decisions to make. If one of the down payment assistance applications falls through, you have a lot more money that you can roll into the rehab if you want, or you can leave it in the down payment assistance and wait for another eligible applicant to come along.
I'd make motion.
For which, the 3
The
and 6?
3, doing the 3 down payments and the first 6 on the home rehab.
Okay.
Second it.
Motion by Hill, second by Scharf. Any other questions?
I really think this is a great program for the community. I think we're putting back into the community and helping people. improve their homes and allowing people to move in or to purchase existing homes, not necessarily just have to build new houses.
And more money goes each year into this funding source to use for this, so this is something that'll be coming up again, and
Right,
Future,
over the
okay.
next 10 years, we're scheduled to have $200,000 or $300,000 in additional revenue coming in on projects that you've already approved. And that was part of why we wanted to put this into place, is because we know there's a substantial amount of money coming in with the TIF projects in the southwest part of town in particular that we've taken on, so. There will be more projects.
okay. Roll call, please.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Shar,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is Highway 150 project. We discussed before the meeting.
This was discussed at our Public Works Committee meeting just prior to the council meeting. Again, we're asking the council for direction. You have been given an option to resurface Highway 150 through town with a mill and overlay, or take on a full reconstruct project with the city carrying the engineering costs. We don't have to make any determinations beyond that, but the state would like your preference at this point on that.
I make a motion, we do the reconstruct project. or
Second.
Reconstruct
Okay.
option.
Motion by Hayward, second by Kurtz, that we do the reconstruction or make that recommendation to the state. Any other discussion? I'm going to ask for a roll call on this one also.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Shar,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Thank you. That motion is carried. Last under the new business is airport board appointment. I had sent this out to you, that my recommendation was to appoint Blake Hayward to this board. And as to why I was appointing him, you have the resolution as one of your attachments, his request and my comments on this.
Is this a conflict of interest with him working for the city, being a city employee?
This does not constitute a conflict of interest because he's an employee, not a manager.
If you want me to read into the record, I have in here that I am recommending Blake Hayward to fill the opening on the airport board. Blake was born and raised in Independence, graduated from the Independence High School. He is married with 2 children. Blake has worked for the Independence Fire Department for 15 years, with 11 years of those as full-time. He has been an EMT since 2004. He is interested in being part of the board and feels the airport is an asset that can help with the growth of our community. He has had a curiosity about aviation and purchased his own drone a couple of years ago, then became a UAV drone pilot. He has been instrumental in writing grants for the city to purchase a drone for use of the fire department. Blake feels he is open-minded and a good judge of character, so could be an asset to the airport. I see Blake as a dedicated city employee and know he volunteers when possible to support his hometown, so ask the council to approve Blake Hayward for appointment to the airport board.
Benita?
Yes.
I'd like you to explain to the public Rule 8243. What's H243?
For what?
H243, the rule, what is gender? It should be gender. Board should be gender.
And the thing is, I tried to get females on that and was turned down by that, and so am recommending Blake for that position. It says you have to
Lady
try
right
to
there,
get
you
it.
didn't turn down, or you turned down. She didn't turn you down.
And as I went on here too, Karen Connell, when you set up the airport board, you set it up because there was concern at that time that there'd be too many people that were involved with the airport that would have control of the board. So you set it up at that time, a 5-member board, 1 and no more than 2 could have a current investment in the airport. And the other 3 were citizens that had to be of legal age that lived in town. Karen, even though she's a citizen in in Independence, she is still visually seen by people as part of Connell Aviation. Whether she's out there working or not, that is how people see her, perceive her. She still works with Connell Aviation Group. She's still involved that way. She's come to most of the board meetings and is very able, they look at her for advice if she has any to offer, answer questions for her, but we've already filled those 2 positions. And I know it was brought up about there being a conflict with Blake, but he does not have an interest in the airport itself. He has an interest in aviation and working drones. Drones seem to be the future of aviation, and it utilizes that for our city in a very healthy way. Emergency management takes advantage of that and such. I don't see that as a conflict for Blake, but I do see that, and I've had people say this to me, that they still see Karen as Connell Aviation. Karen and I talked about this morning about that and agreed to disagree.
Karen Connell, 312 Second Avenue Southwest. Yes, the mayor and I did visit. We visited for about an hour or so.
Yep.
And I think it was very constructive. But I have just a few comments that I would like to make, maybe to clarify a few things for you too. As the mayor brought up, the airport board shall consist of 5 members, a minimum of 3 residents of the city and a minimum of 1, but not more than 2, who are tenants, pilots, or other invested in the Independence Municipal Airport. I see this as the only problem that we have here is that I'm married to Jim Connell. And Jim Connell was able to manage that airport for 45 years. Yes, I worked right beside him. I felt, did a pretty good job. It lasted for 45 years. So there's the connection with Jim Connell. I am a citizen of Independence. All I'm trying to do is give some input to the airport board. No one on the airport board has any airport management experience. They have no knowledge of the state, federal regulations, the city regulations, things that I think they should know. My concerns are, say, the NOTAMs. If there's someone that's on the field, on the runway, removing snow or whatever, the NOTAMs are not being issued. That's a safety factor. We're talking safety with the fire department. Let's really talk safety with the airport. The fuel sales have went down. The fuel boxes are not designated that they are 100 low lead or Jet A. There's key number 1, there's key number 2. Now, somebody has to be responsible for this stuff. And the customer service besides. I feel that I can help the airport board. I feel that they're struggling a little bit. Part of it is because they don't, I don't think that they really understand. And if you've got 5 people that are to serve on an airport board, what are they supposed to do? If you don't understand what the management of the airport is, how do you know what you're supposed to do? The mayor appointed a task force to decide what the city was going to do with the airport, the next process. That task force was 9 men. It was not gender balanced. 9 men. They met. I have no idea what occurred at those meetings. I was denied from participating in that. I also submitted a letter to the mayor that I would be interested in helping and serving on the airport board right when they come up with the, you approved the airport board and that ordinance and things. I was not asked to participate. Okay, now you have a resignation from that board. I'm willing to help, but apparently this is where we agree to disagree, is that I am to suggest things. I submitted a whole bunch of questions of my concerns, and it was really an education for the board. Why should that have to happen? You don't appoint somebody to a board that has absolutely no knowledge of what they're doing. I think it's just a bad move. I want to continue to develop the practices and policies that have worked so successfully for so many years. We were probably, if we would have known that we couldn't help, we probably wouldn't have worked so hard to secure $17 million for the city for the expansion at the airport at 90% funded from the federal government that comes from the pockets of the pilots and the pockets of the pilots that have aircraft registrations, the fuel taxes. We pay fuel tax to the federal government and to the state government. That all comes back to this airport and other airports throughout the nation, especially in Iowa, because that's how the state handles it.
And your 5-member board all know that because you've shared that and given that advice, and so did the engineer. You can still do advice, but when we set this board up, there is only 2 people that should be tied to the airport. If you want to be talking history on why you weren't involved in some of this stuff, this all started because of conflicts at the airport, which required Jonathan to end up resigning early. And the Connell name and the Bachman name both were involved in that. We had lots of dispute back and forth. Everybody has their opinion, and some people have changed, some people haven't. But I feel I have a good reason as to why I'm putting the people on here. I think they're very capable of researching and getting this. I think they would be very accepting to any advice you give them. Have not seen them turn you down in any way when you've come to the board meetings. It's just that the way this board was set up, you're not eligible to be on it.
I'm a citizen of the city of Independence.
Right.
And
With
I
the
am
last
not,
name
and
of
I'm not
Connell.
associated, I do not rent a hangar at the airport. My husband does. I am not involved in that company.
Who will benefit if something happens from Jim? Do you not inherit that? Are you not part of that company at that point?
Mayor, what does that have to do with anything?
The same amount as when your question was, as the fact that you didn't think Blake should do this because he worked for the city, and yet you are also related to this whole thing. You keep pushing
No, I
this
think we need to
be
put the
Karen.
best possible person in the position, is what I think. Somebody that has good knowledge. You just said that they're willing to accept her information because it's valuable, but we don't value her opinion enough that you can't put her on the board. I've said this from the very beginning. She should have been on there.
They still see this as a conflict of the fact that the board is supposed to only have 2 people that are associated with Thing, and still see her associated
And
with
she was probably one of the first people that submitted that wanted to be on that board, and she could have been one of those 2 people that was affiliated with aviation. But she's not affiliated with aviation anymore.
Well, we have.
Do you not work for Connell Aviation Group for your granddaughter, part-time?
What's that got to do with this?
You're still involved with aviation. You're still involved with Connell Aviation, of
I
which
could still
Jim is
scrub
the
bellies on
patriarch.
airplanes. This has, our granddaughter's business has nothing to do with this.
Okay, bottom line is, this is an appointment that the mayor is allowed to do or to have. You guys have the final vote. I know exactly how this is going to come out, but you still have that. I just, the fact that I have to explain every detail, every thought I have for any appointments, any work I do as the mayor is, and that we have to debate it all, because nobody has any respect or consideration of how I come to decisions. I've tried to put in here to how I came to this. You still don't accept that. So the point is that that's who I'm explaining as Blake Hayward.
Well, myself too. I really, and I have nothing against any of the people that are serving. But I really have a question about, you have 2 people that have filled the airport-related positions that don't even live in Buchanan County. One lives
They
in
didn't
Fayette County
have
and
to.
one lives in Bremer County.
They didn't have to.
They're not paying taxes here. They don't have a vested interest in here. I just think that if you're going to involve the citizens of Independence, and you want plenty of them to volunteer and to do things, you want me to go to the meetings and visit with them and explain things.
I'm not
But not
requiring
be
you to
on the
do that.
board at
That's
all.
your choice.
Oh, yes, I realize that.
Okay.
Because every meeting that I have attended, after you appoint a board with approval, you appoint a board to serve on a committee, and either or both of you, the city manager and the mayor, are attending every one of those meetings. And you explain to me that you you needed to be here to let them in and to let them out.
And to do
Here's the
anything
firemen
that
would let you
they,
in and let you
and to
out.
do anything they need for getting them information that they might need for what they're making decisions on.
But is there anything wrong with them knowing some of the things that they have to answer to? Because this council, I would think, would be going to that committee and asking questions about, okay, you said this or that, back it up, you know?
The purpose of setting up that board in the first place was because this was getting too politically involved at this committee level. That's why the decision was made that we needed to have a separate airport board. Trying to separate it out of all the stuff that had happened at the airport before, everybody's input into it. I saw that we had one person suggest that they would be the interim airport person. Didn't get that from anybody else. And you have criticized and put down the person who's doing the airport interim thing. All of that is input you put into it. You're bogging down this airport board to do their work,
And you're
trying to
bogging
satisfy
down-
everybody.
You're bogging down experience that can
No.
help you all.
I do not deny your experience at all. I know what it is.
Mayor, may I interject? I think this dialogue is interesting, but it's not
Yeah.
appropriate at the council meeting. It's inappropriate to have the debate with the citizens here. I'd ask the council to give serious consideration to tabling this at this point. I don't think that you're ready to make a decision, and I just tell you to table it for today.
I would make a motion to table it.
I second it.
Motion to table, first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No.
Yeah, no. I think we ought to work on this and vote on it. We got the votes right
Okay,
here.
wait a minute. Let's take a roll call on tabling it then in order to get the right count.
I'm going to go sit down. I'd just like
Yeah.
to make one more little comment. I wish everybody would just bury the comments and you caused this, that caused that. There's things that's been going around that never, ever, ever happened.
That would be
when is it
nice.
gonna die?
Nice if we could start with a new slate, and that's what we tried to do with the airport board.
And I could probably keep it going, huh? Is that what we're saying?
No, I said I agree with you. Let's do a roll call on this vote.
Hayward,
What
This
I'm
is
This is
whether-
the motion
This is
to
what
table
motion
the
to
item.
table this item.
yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
No.
Hannah,
No.
Vaughn,
No,
Kurtz.
Yes.
4-3 for yes.
I have 4 yes. 3 no.
Okay, and it is tabled at this point. Not sure when this will be brought up, so the board will just have to meet with four board members and do their work. So,
that was on what now? What was the motion?
To table
I'm sorry,
the
the motion
appointment.
passed to table it at this point.
Should have been tied because he should have abstained, shouldn't he?
Why should he have to abstain whether to table this motion or not?
Had to do with his son.
And it's nothing to do with his son, whether to table
We
this
tabled that
motion.
motion.
You tabled the motion to make a decision tonight.
Ask the
He has a
ask the
right-
attorney.
I would not have advised him to abstain on that particular motion. There was no decision made as to the appointment of.
Sort of there was.
No,
If
there
any,
wasn't.
if anything, I would think it would have been to the benefit of anyone else interested in that position. It was not to his relative's interest to table that motion.
Okay.
Could I make one comment on this whole process? I don't agree with the mayor. The mayor and I had a discussion on who I thought should be appointed. But the bottom line does come in that the mayor makes the appointments. And I guess, you know, we can talk about what we would like. And Bonnie listened to me, said we agreed to disagree. But the bottom line does come down to that she can function for the next rest of her term with 4 members on this committee because it is the mayor's prerogative to appoint. And I guess that was one of the things I argued or commented on why I thought we should do an appointment in the direction that I recommended, was that maybe we could then move on in future appointments and not have this discussion every time. But I think we do need to remember the mayor does have the appointment, and
Let me just add in here. I was a mayor once. Did you see No's happen a lot? I didn't get people appointed, Bob. I seen this happen, and when they come out with H-243, Des Moines called me. Mayor, you've got a gender. You've been in the good old boys club for too long. I had to go solicit, and I asked for people. If I didn't get them, I went to people. It was an honor for them to be asked. What, do you want to go back to the 5 guys again and everything? We need to state gender bias. I have nothing against Blake. But what, you're going to slip right back again, all of a sudden, whoop, I didn't find no woman again.
There is a female on the board.
Right,
who
but it should be 2.
Who represents them.
I know, I said,
And the way the state law is, you have to make an effort to try
a
to.
very
do
good
that.
effort.
And what you might consider very good and what I consider very good are two different
I'm
things.
sure it is, because you got to turn down a bunch of mine.
It's your choice.
It was your choice
I
then.
think we debate a lot of things that don't need to be
I
debated.
agree.
Because you're not recognizing the
The
fact
motion
that the
has.
motion is mine.
The discussions should be closed. The
Yes.
motion's been voted on and it's off the table. Let's move on.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we're going to the report section. Doug, do you have anything else you want to report tonight?
I got a couple things. The fellow from the sidewalk people will be here tomorrow morning to meet with me. The people we had here last year to do it. They've got, Jared is no longer, excuse me, with the company, so there's a new fellow, and he'll be here in the morning, so we'll be trying to start back up on our sidewalk project again. And I visited with the city attorney before the meeting tonight. We've got a couple of houses we're gonna be looking at, so.
Is this reviewing the ones that were repaired to make?
Yeah,
sure they got done?
that's part of it, and then starting on for this year.
What part of town are we doing this year, Doug?
Third ward, which will be my ward, so.
Are they the only company that can do these reviews or review the?
The only one that I know of that's willing to do it like this.
That's willing to do it for no cost and such? Okay. There are other people that can do it, but they want to charge?
That I couldn't answer. I don't know. I've never seen anybody else that does this type of work.
Are they still doing it this year for no cost?
I'll meet with him in the morning. I hope so.
So you don't know for
That-
sure?
That's, would be part of the,
Okay.
but they have to be here to review what was done last year too, so.
Well, last year, we had a little controversy with another local company that had raised the issue. They hadn't been approached about it or.
I
had
went down and
acknowledged.
personally talked to him.
Good.
He is not interested in doing
Doing
the
the
survey.
survey.
He's interested in doing the work, and, so he's gonna go out and do door hangers. I told him which ward we're doing and that type of thing,
Is that
so.
about grinding the sidewalks?
Pardon?
Is that about grinding the sidewalks?
Yeah.
You're talking about grinding the sidewalks.
Right, doing what we did last year.
Well, that guy that you talked about, he had the city do his sidewalk. He didn't even have his crew do it.
Yeah, I can't answer that. I don't know, but he is not interested in doing the survey. Went down and personally visited him, so.
And we would, on that note, we would encourage any homeowner or business that has an interest, go and get in front of us, get it done before we do the survey. All the better.
Right.
Our interest is in providing the sidewalks in a safe and accessible manner. We don't care who does it. That's not on ours. But we do have an obligation to make sure that they are addressed.
Yeah, we need to keep the program going, so that's what I'll be visiting with him.
if somebody wanted to do that, could they have Doug come out and take a look at it so they knew what they needed to do?
I think on a case-by-case basis, but again, this survey is going to be far more thorough and precise than what, Doug and I had talked about. They've got the equipment to do it very precisely and.
And they come in GPS. I mean, they do everything.
Well, I'm just saying that if I called up and said I'm going to do it ahead of time and I don't know really what I need to do,
Yeah, yes, call Doug, call up here to City Hall. we'll get you the information.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay.
Thanks, Doug.
Tim? You're new. I want to take advantage of you being here. Come on, nothing to share? Okay, Dustin?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're the other department head I see.
One beside you.
Yeah, hey.
Oh, well, she has her own time to speak.
Only have a couple of things. This last week, we spoke with Rob Hawken about the Travis Tritt on the 4th of August. Still working on things with that, but looking good so far. And then also last week was supposed to be the car show for the race cars and stuff down First Street. Because of the weather, they canceled that. I haven't heard of a makeup day if they are going to try to do something like that again later on this year or not.
Just FYI, they canceled the races for this Saturday night,
Yeah, it's.
so I would think they probably won't be doing it this weekend.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything from them, and even if they want to, they might just wait till next year to try to do it again. But yeah, because of weather-wise, it just wasn't going to work, so.
Thank you. There isn't anybody else, is there?
No.
Okay. I'm going to skip around. I'm going to start with Bob tonight for council members.
I just wanted to say I'm excited about that 150 highway project. It's something we've talked about, and I don't know what got into the state, but I'm glad the council was willing to take the opportunity, even if it's not convenient. So that's it.
Thank you. Carl?
I have to agree with Bob. We go back a long ways on that project and complaints and, yeah, that's, I'm so great. I just tell him, Bob, I just hope it hangs in there long enough that we don't lose any cars in the hole like we did one time along the gas station up here. Thank you, that's all.
Okay. Mike?
Nothing.
Okay. Deb?
I just had a couple of things, and one thing was I'd ask for the contracts for the well houses from the engineer and the contractor. I haven't been able to get those yet, so I would like those. And then I was also wondering about the paint grant. We applied for it, but we didn't get it.
Yeah, we just got notice last week that that was not approved.
Can we apply again for that, or
We'll apply again next year.
not? for
It's
whole
an
year?
annual process. It's, what do they call it? Keep Iowa Beautiful or Beautify Iowa, something to that effect.
Do you know why we were turned down, or
No?
who did that grant?
Well, it's through Diamond Vogel.
Right.
And Keep Iowa Beautiful, so,
Didn't ERCOG do the grant, though, or
no.
did you do it? or-
No, I did it. It's a simple one-page, tell us what you want to do, tell us how much paint you need. So, I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Sound like a pretty neat thing to do. I'm glad, sorry that we lost it.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Danny?
Nothing tonight.
John?
I have nothing else.
Mike?
Nothing.
Our attorney, do you have anything to say tonight?
No, and I don't foresee that I ever will.
So quit asking me, right?
So I don't need to call on you anymore, or you'll just let me know ahead of time? or-
That's correct.
Okay. Nice to know. Gina, this is your chance, department head.
Just to let everyone know, Susie and I will be at IMFOA conference next week, Wednesday afternoon through Friday afternoon, getting some more continuing education for clerks and financing and stuff like that.
You got everything settled for your meetings tomorrow night?
Yes, tomorrow night we'll probably leave here around 3:30ish. Bob Hill and John Kurtz.
That's it? Mr. Roder?
Only that I will be out of the office next week. I'm going to see if sun really does exist.
See if what?
If the sun really exists.
Oh, you're going south or
We're-
what?
We're going to go south.
Okay, sounds good.
How far?
Till the sun comes
Yeah,
out.
right.
He's gonna keep
Maybe more west
driving
than south.
south until he
I'm
sees
sure
sun.
that's a loaded question.
We're supposed to have sun next Friday, aren't we? Supposed to get in the 60s next week? Yeah.
Yeah.
See, by the time you go south,
cold
you
again.
see the sun will have it right here.
It'll probably be cold.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That's what would happen to me. I have nothing else to do either, so I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf, second by O'Laughlin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried.